Hey folks, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. We've got Alexandra playing live round 4 in her tournament, the 3rd International Monte Oliveri Open, being played in Valencia, Spain. We have moves already. We've got moves, so let me catch us up on the game. I went e4, c5. I think I caught the move order, hopefully. Knight c3, d6. Alex spent a little bit of time on knight c3, so this wasn't blitzed out. It looks like she went g3, knight c6, bishop g2, g6. So this is going to be this is our live position right now, and it's white to play. So Alex is playing FIDE Master Adrian Jimenez Rano. Is that a good pronunciation? I hope so. From Spain. And looks like she just made the move d3. Black quickly blitzed out bishop g7. And we've got ourselves a closed Sicilian. Very interesting. We'll definitely talk about this opening a bit. Let me find the chat. How's chat doing? Hopefully we're streaming to 2 places, Dojo and AlexandraChess. Another close Sicilian. Is it like the 3rd time? You know, I don't know, Felix. Actually, this is my first time watching one of Alex's white games. So far, I've only seen a King's Indian and Sicilian. It looks like we had a move. Let me make sure we don't lose track of the position. Bishop e3 played. Okay, classic move. I imagine Alex has some experience with this setup, and it's not her first time playing closed Sicilian. Also, we got Anna Maya there in the background. You guys can see she's playing someone as well as white. I guess they're going to be playing next to each other all tournament, because this is like the streamer table that they set up for them. So that's pretty cool. It's kind of fun when you get to play next to the same person. Sometimes it happens because of the ratings. You guys both play up together, you both play down together, and then you just end up sitting next to each other because your ratings are so close. But here, it's a little bit different situation. Oh, so Alex's opponent, I'm being told, drew a 24.95 Grandmaster last round. Well, anyone can do that. No, just kidding. No, that's good. That's good. That's good. Her first white game was a closed Sicilian as well. Oh, okay. That makes sense. She had some problems on the long diagonal. Cool. Yeah, sounds like she has decent experience with this one. Okay, looks like we got a move. e6. All right, e6 is very flexible. Curious how this game turns out, because actually this is a position I definitely more likely would see from the black side. So I'm curious how Alex was going to play this one, how black will follow up. With her move bishop e3, this typically indicates white is trying to go queen d2, and then possibly bishop h6. Whoops. Kind of like typical attacking idea. But on queen d2, black doesn't always move this knight on g8, so we might see like some very cheeky rook b8 type of move here, where black just kind of waits for white to do their next move while bishop h6 is not possible. Because if white goes f4, then it's blocked, and then maybe white doesn't want to commit to the knight. And if h4, then maybe h5. If castles, maybe b5. So sometimes you see black kind of delaying the knight from b8 here. But we'll see what happens. Alex hasn't played queen d2 yet. There are other options as well, like knight g2, I'm sure is normal, f4. F4 would then be followed by knight f3, most likely. I think this is the classic way that the world champion Spassky used to play these positions. He was kind of a fan of the close Sicilian, just like slowly building up, h3, g4, just getting the attack going. In general, I would say it's kind of an underrated system. You know, I think the c3 Sicilian gets a lot of hype, Grand Prix, but close Sicilian, I feel like definitely kind of a slow burn, and a lot of Sicilian players definitely don't feel comfortable defending against it because they don't have a ton of experience. They'd rather play the open lines because they study theory all the time. And yeah, then when they have to play a close position like this, it's not always super comfortable. So I feel like this is a reasonable choice by Alex. Queen d2 on the board. Of course, one day we'll probably talk to Alex about, you know, switching over to open Sicilian. Because I think that would be, I think that's the way to go against the Sicilian. You either play the open Sicilian or you play 1d4. I feel like that's kind of the rule of thumb for higher level players. So let me get this chat open as well. Oh, Steven used to play this, Queen d2. The question is if black then finds the only but good response. Ooh. Well, clue us in, Steven. Don't leave us hanging like that. What's the only... We got time. It's a classical game. We can put it on the board. You know, this is very much a interactive stream. You know, we're kind of watching Alex's game together. I'm very invested. You know, we had a couple lessons, and she's very motivated to improve. I'm hoping to help her on that journey. It's been very cool for me to watch her play, actually. I feel like I have gotten some real insight into Alex as a chess player. Definitely some things that need to be worked on. Does the open Sicilian include all systems with knight f3 and like d4, or do things like Ross-Limo and Moscow count as something else? Yeah, so open Sicilian definitely, like, classically means you play d4 on move 3 and trade pawns in the center. That's what makes it open. But nowadays there's an interesting question, because I think many players wouldn't say that the Ross-Limo is a sideline against, let's put it on the board so people know what I'm talking about. Like if we look at this position, e4, c5, knight f3, knight c6, the classic open Sicilian move here would be d4. But if you look at the top players these days, a lot of them are playing bishop b5. I think it's actually a pretty serious majority of, like, let's say 2,700 players playing bishop b5 in this position. So it's a little silly to call bishop b5 a sideline. In fact, I feel like I would just say it's like an equal main line to d4 in this position. Moscow variation d6, bishop b5 check. This one I feel like is definitely less common than d4. So I would certainly keep d4 here as just the clear main line, and I would consider bishop b5 the most serious sideline. Let's put it that way. With c3 being less serious, g3, stuff like this all being kind of less serious sidelines. Let's get move sounds up. Move sounds. Thanks for following, folks. If you're watching on Dojo's channel, please go follow Alexandra's channel. If you're watching on Alexandra's channel, please go follow on Dojo's channel. Both channels really appreciate all the support. Thank you so much. Okay. Let's get back to the live position. So e6, queen d2, and black played knight ge7. Yeah, so he's allowing bishop h6, which I don't think is a huge deal, but I do wonder what Alex would have done on rook b8. This might have been more annoying to face if we're just playing for this one plan and then black doesn't allow it, and then what to do from there. Probably knight ge2. I mean, game continues. It's not like white is totally just stuck here, but knight g7 played, so most likely we're going to see bishop h6. Once you say A and B, you kind of normally say C. But we'll see. We'll see. Oh, let me make a pinned comment in Dojo's chat as well, so people know what's happening, and then I'll answer the question from Rayfos. What's the most serious sideline against the E6 Sicilians? I mean, it's not exactly an opening lab right now, but we'll allow it. It's a classical game. We have plenty of time. But first, let me just write a comment explaining what we're doing and giving people a link to the game. Oh, what's going on? Something under the table? Guys, we have action. What's happening? What's going on? Oh, the clock is running though. Alex, you got to pause the clock if something's going on. That's your right. This is not good. Oh, there's like maybe some wire on the floor. Needs to be taped down. All right, at least she's like looking at the position. But normally if there, if there's a claim or something, you pause the clock. If the lights go off, pause the clock and, you're allowed to restart. But okay, not too big. I think it was just some wire. Looks like the maintenance guy taped it down. Okay, let me write this comment. Pin this message. Let's go. All right, we got it. Okay, so white's move in this position. She's thinking about queen d2 and playing bishop h6. I mean, queen d2 is on the board, so she's just thinking about this one. Sometimes there are other moves as well, like h4, but generally I think you want to lodge the bishop on h6 first and then play h4. The other thing is sometimes you maybe want to wait for black to castle as well. There is an argument to wait, though I think bishop h6 right away makes sense too, because if black takes, queen takes, it's kind of awkward for black because they're not very close to castling queenside. King won't be super safe on the queen side anyway. Also, we're like maybe threatening to win a pawn here with queen g7, queen takes h7. It's a little awkward for black. You're not really sure you want to allow this. So many players, I think, just end up castling here. But then after h4, I would think white's getting a pretty normal looking attack. Yeah, Alex's current score is 2 out of 3. Actually, I feel like I should have added that to the pinned comments. Okay, guys, I'm going to copy paste the comment so that I can add the score. Because score, people always want, oh, what's the score? What's the score? All right. All right, there we go. So sorry for the double chat. Is that Anna Maya next to Alexander? It is, guys. It is. There's a lot of streamers at this event. Anna Maya's playing, Lily Karidzi, Hannah was there. I saw Pepe Cuenca, but Pepe, I don't think he's like streaming the event. I think he's just like playing the tournament like a normal grandmaster. Bishop h6 on the board. This makes sense. And Alex still playing pretty quickly, so I'm just going to assume she's in book. Because so far, when she's been out of book, she's been, burning lots of time. So I think this is something, it sounds like this is something she plays quite often. So I feel like this is a position This is a position she has very likely seen before. Okay, bishop takes h6 played, and she immediately recaptures, doesn't even write the moves down. You are allowed to do that, folks. You're allowed to make one move. The rule is you have to write down your previous move before you make your next move. So when black goes like bishop takes h6, white has already written down their previous move. They can just instantly recapture. But black cannot then instantly make their move until they've written down bishop takes h6. Sometimes you get this commotion in open tournaments where one player makes a capture, their opponent like quickly recaptures without writing the move down, and then the first player, offended that their opponent played so quickly, makes their move quickly too. And then the second guy's like, no, you can't do that because you didn't write your move down, right? And it's like, children, please. Like, you guys have 45 minutes on your clock. What is this? What's going on? So anyway, queen takes h6, and knight d4 played, but only after writing down the previous move. So he's also playing pretty fast, and that makes me think that he kind of knows something about this position as well. Otherwise, he'd be taking his time. But Steven, you were saying this taking is not good for black, so that's kind of comforting to hear. Yeah, at this point, it's definitely something to deal with. Knight takes c2, so castling makes sense. The castling feels like the most logical move. I don't know. Maybe there's some positions where white goes rook c1 and tries to just keep the king. Because the thing is, when you castle, you do kind of give black the address, to your king's location. And then they can start launching b5, b4, queen a5. Whoops. What was that phrase? You guys remember Elon Musk was very upset about people like leaking his assassination coordinates. Thank you, Seth. You already knew before I even Yeah, you're leaking the assassination coordinates of your king sometimes when you castle. So you guys have to be very careful about this. That said, I think in general people are kind of over worried, I think. Most games you should be castling. But it's a sharp position. It's not easy. It's not easy. So Alex has started to think, I feel like if she's had this position before, it can't be the first time she's had knight d4 on the board. But I don't really know. And someone was saying she was expecting Caro-Kann. So yeah, Sicilian maybe wasn't her number one choice. And queen d2 played. Yeah, queen d2 doesn't seem so insane to me either. Just bringing the queen back. It looks funny because we're letting black castle, but at the same time, if black castles, there's still going to be h4. Like this attack still kind of has a lot of play here because we traded off the dark squared bishops. And in the meantime, white can maybe go like knight d1 and c3. So I was kind of wondering if queen d2 is playable here. Yeah, Steven, so what's the story here? Is queen d2 still theory? Or was it better for white to castle queenside? I honestly don't know. I focus on open Sicilian. Not these club openings. No, I'm just kidding. I think it's fun to study these middle games. Still plenty of master games in this position. Short went castles. Which Short? Nigel Short? Or like Tyler Short, 1300 from Indiana. Nigel Short, probably. Probably Nigel Short. Yeah, he is a good Sicilian player as well. So that's a good endorsement of the move castles. He's a very serious attacking player. Very good chess player. But queen d2 is not so bad. I think Alex here mainly just needs to get a game, some kind of middle game, where she can try to push on the king side and press the attack a bit. Okay, she's up walking around. That's good. Sign of confidence. I like to see that. Black now is thinking. That's what I like about this move, queen d2, is because like it doesn't make it obvious what you're going to do with the king, because white can still go queenside at some point if it makes sense. But they can also go kingside. So not easy at all here for black. And he's thinking. By the way, folks, I made a big improvement for the stream today. Oh, let me fix my light. It's very bright. It's not that bright in here, but I think it looks brighter. It's just that the sun is coming out. And then when the sun comes out, my camera just goes crazy. Just can't handle it. Just can't handle it. Yeah, it looked like I was being blinded. I promise, folks, I'm not blinded. I can see. But I made a big improvement. I brought in some wooden pieces, because every time I watch games live, especially classical games, I get so fidgety. You know, I want to like play with pieces, or when I'm playing with at the board, you know, I want to like, you know, I want to have some pieces to fiddle with. So I brought some pieces in I can use. Okay, this one is hard to, but it's wooden. Brought some pieces that I can hang out with, fiddle around while we do some analysis. Actually, it's funny. It's like Noah's Ark. I brought one color of each, like one pawn. Man, lighting here is killing me. But it's like one black pawn, one wooden pawn, black and white rook, black and white knight, black and white bishop. So we got options. We got options. Usually I'm more of like a pawn guy. I don't know what you guys prefer. Bishops and rooks also cool, but I like pawns. I feel like pawns are easy. When's the next OTB stream? Hey, what do you think this is under me? But you mean when like I'm playing OTB? Probably soon. I mean, I don't know. I've been missing those too, but I've been very busy with this and with the U.S. juniors, U.S. seniors. Oh, the board's a little bit cut off. Let me fix that. Why did our board break? Confusing. All right, one sec, folks. Let's fix the layout real quick. There we go. Beautiful. When you get bored, just start snapping bits off the opponent's king. That's so funny. Blind Puff and playing first OTB tournament in 3 years at the weekend. We're at. That's awesome. Good luck. OTB chess is tough. It feels very rewarding and satisfying when it's going well. British Championships, cool. Well, that's serious. That's serious. But yeah, hopefully you get some practice in before then. Watching me do OTB is going to be a lot less helpful than getting the board out yourself, you know. You just do a little bit. Just look at a physical board. Here's your homework. Look at an OTB board. Look at some position. Put some position on the board. Literally any position, any game, any puzzle, any opening, any position, and just look at it with your own eyes and just try to calculate a few moves. Oh, is this a move? What about this? And then just do a little bit of analysis. You just got to practice. That's right, Felix. Exactly right. Someone's been watching. Someone's been watching the streams. Okay. Well, Queen D2. Black here is tanking. This is what I like about Alex playing high-rated opponents, is that her opponents are not playing fast. They're also tanking. And so she can hope to stay equal on time. Hey, what's up, Cam? Just switched over from Anamaya's stream. Yeah, so I haven't seen it. Is her camera basically next to ours essentially, or is it? Or actually, I heard they're just using they were just using this camera, which I think is fine. But yeah, isn't it just the same view, slightly above it? So her camera is above Alex's? That, I don't think that's right. Because if you think about like the camera we're watching, it's on a tripod, like sitting down. So if there is a camera above it, what would be supporting that camera? Okay, we're still waiting for a move. Oh, Alex is back at the board. Oh, interesting. Because he was still thinking. Now she's back at the board. She's like, all right, hurry up, make a move. Maybe she's tired of like walking around. Normally what I do if I get up, because I'm like waiting for my opponent to make a move, I usually like stay away from just until they move. Because you don't know how long it's going to be. You sit back down. It could be another 5 minutes before they make a move. And then it's like you're going to want to get up again. And then it's really awkward. You sat down, now you're getting up again. Oof. Do I think it's healthy to get up and walk around? Yeah, definitely. I mean, certainly from just like a physical health perspective, it's not good to be sitting for several hours, right, without walking around. But in terms of like your chess, I definitely suggest getting up at least a couple times per game. Yeah, I would just say like every half hour or so, 1 hour, definitely. For me, I get up sometimes every time it's not my turn, just because I want my opponent to spend time. I don't want to be sitting down the whole time. You know. And I can still think about the position in my head, so I don't actually have to be there while the opponent is sitting. Yeah, my old millennial body starts aching. Exactly. Same here. All right, now the sun has gone down. So this is going to be... This is the issue with my lighting here. I use some sunlight, but the sun like moves and like there's clouds and stuff, and so it affects how much we get. Hey, Aiku. That's right, no water bottle. These guys are pros. These guys are pros. So Queen D2 on the board. We can talk moves here. Like Black has been actually thinking for a little while. So that means, you know, clearly he is concerned. Castle's H4 is going to run into the attack. So my guess is he wants to make a different move. Something on the queen side. Queen A5, for example, Bishop D7. Is Steven still here? Steven had a ton of experience in these positions, and I was hoping could give us some more insight. Someone was saying Queen D2. I think Dexter was saying Queen D2 is the best scoring move in the position, so that's good. And H5 played. Okay, another move. So clearly Black was concerned about H4 ideas or the queen coming back to H6. So he plays H5. And he spent a lot of time here, so I don't think he's like in his preparation. I think that was definitely like a real think. which is good. That's good for us because I think Alex actually has quite a bit of experience in these positions, and that means I think she has a very good chance here to have a nice game. Yeah, of course you have to make sure you stay focused on the game, but I don't think it's that tough. If you walk around for a minute or two, you come back. You just got to get right back into it, right? It's a OTB chess game. Okay, h5 played. My intuition is that this move is a little off because black kind of makes like a weakness almost, right? Like a further weakness. And it hasn't really been provoked. White didn't have to play h4. That said, it might not end up making a huge difference. I don't really know for sure. If white just plays h4, it could be as if white played h4, h5, and that would be pretty normal. But it does weaken some squares, especially the dark squares. So whenever you can highlight several squares and there are no pawns or pieces on those squares, that's not good. That's what we call a color complex, right? Now the question is whether white can exploit this, which is often the hardest part. Easy part is recognizing, oh yeah, there's no pawns on these squares. Okay, good job. Now it's like, what do you do about it? You play e5, knight e4. Do you go for broke at some point, or knight h3? So seems like there's a lot of options for white here. The time is confusing since it's on the delay. Yeah, sorry about that. The DGT board is on a delay, so that these are not the updated clocks. But I can actually keep you guys posted on the clock. You guys just let me know. Right now it's about even. Black has an hour and 16 minutes. White has hour 17 minutes. Currently Alexandra's turn. And at this point, I think she's very, very clearly out of book. Like she's just sitting back, like, okay, here we. She just sighed. She's like, all right, here we go. What am I gonna do here? So this is an interesting moment. This is where the chess player's brain starts to power on. Like you guys know, like when you turn on the computer, it's not just ready to go, right? It has to do the loading thing. Welcome to Windows. Some kind of jingle plays like do 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 do. You log in, your programs start loading, processes start loading. This is what's happening for Alex right now. It's like up until this point, she's just been playing like book, her theory moves, queen d2, bishop h6, very typical stuff. Now, unfortunately, none of that. The right move here isn't stored in her memory, right? So now she actually has to start calculating and figuring things out. So this is where the chess game begins. For black, this process has already started. You guys can see he's already in the game. He thought about h5, knight d4. He's already had to think about these moves. These were not 100% obvious to him. So very interesting moment right now in the OTB situation. Kind of a classic happening. Maybe she got hacked. Oh, we have AlexandraChess in the chat. That's great. That's good, actually, because yesterday, there was a moment where we didn't have a mod, and we could have really used one, because I'm not a mod. Actually, if there's a mod that can mod me, ChessDojoLive, that would be helpful. There's definitely, someone yesterday that I think deserved a ban, but I couldn't ban them. I was powerless. I had to just, ignore them. And yeah, then there was no mod. Some people might remember what I'm referring to. It was very clearly a ban situation. Okay, let's talk options here. And then I still remember we have we have a question from earlier, the best anti-e6 Sicilians that we can tackle when we have a quieter moment. So at this point, I feel like white has a couple options. Number one would be things that deal with the knight on d4. So knight d1, c3, for example, would be one way to do this, or knight e2, c3. Oh, thank you, thank you. Yeah. Well, Alexandra was in the chat. I think there's mod on her account, so I think that worked. Let's go. Other options I was going to say is like knight h3 developing, knight g2, h4. But looks like Alex just played h3 according to the camera. And that's interesting. So that kind of anticipates h4. Now if black plays this one, white can push past with g4 and take space. And then this pawn can be kind of weak. This I'm not sure like what the evaluation is. For example, black can go e5, start fighting for some dark squares. But it's not clear that black wants to allow this. But I do feel like at some point black is going to have to play e5 here and start fighting for these squares. Is h3, g4 pretty typical? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially, okay, this like is never going to happen, but if black castled kingside here, then, white is 100% looking to break like this. And then we get like h4, and then maybe white tries to win the pawn at some point and go for the attack. It's a whole mess. c2 is hanging, white would castle, and then go after the pawn. But yeah, that would definitely be on white's mind. Or maybe h4 even here, now that black castled, and then trying to break with like g4, h5, fixing the pawn. Okay, rook b8 played. Yeah, I think this is the right way to go as black. This is one of those cases where, yeah, if you castled, you'd really be kind of walking into it. So it makes sense to wait and develop your queenside counterplay first. This is definitely a typical idea in the Sicilian. Many Sicilians, open Sicilian, like just kind of a classic Sicilian thing that you do want to be careful about castling too early if white is playing aggressively. Usually it happens in the open Sicilian. Like you see a lot of Najdorfs where white is playing super aggressively, and then if black castles, they're just going to get very, very quickly killed by like g4, g5, these kinds of attacks. So a lot of times black leaves the king in the center, gets the queenside play going, and then once the queenside play is more developed, black and then will have more resources to fight against the attack. And then they can castle, and of course we're going to have a big fight. But rook b8, by the way, guys, very committal move. I don't know if anyone realizes the significance of this move, but can anyone tell me in either classroom why this move is committal? Do I think the knight on c3 should move now? This is definitely an option. I wouldn't move it just because I'm afraid of b5, b4. Of course, we can wait. But generally, the knight does want to move because white would like to play c3 and challenge the knight on d4. I think that would be the way to go. Okay, very good, folks. Very good. Yeah, Felix, Gustavo were first in the Dojo chat, and then Dexter and Cam were second in the AlexandraChess chat. But yeah, rook b8 means that black can no longer castle queenside. So that means that black is committed to either leaving the king in the center or one day castling kingside. And so white can kind of play with this in mind. And it doesn't feel like you can just leave your king in the center forever. So I feel like we're likely to see castles kingside. a4 played, by the way. a4 I like here because it stops b5. Black can still get b5 in by playing like a6, but that would allow white to open up the a-rook. And now I think Alex is doing something very smart. I think she's now committed to castling kingside, where her king will be very safe. Queenside, okay, black gets a lot of counterplay. But then when black castles kingside, that king will still have to deal with like queen h6 and g4 ideas. So I could see this getting a little bit tricky for black. It's definitely not the middle game, you'd feel most comfortable playing. But I do expect a6 here. I feel like that's almost an automatic move. You played rook b8, your opponent plays a4. What are you going to do? Not play b5 like some kind of chump? No, you got to go a6. you got to insist on your ideas. But maybe he's a little bit concerned about a6, a5. I'm not sure. Oh, and we're back to Mr. Brightface. Cool. What about king f8 and just leaving the rook to help out defensively? So the thing is, with castling, it's not just about king safety, it's also about connecting rooks. So if you play king f8 and you don't connect the rooks, eventually the middle game, the center will open, and then black will have problems because white's rooks will be connected and white will be much more coordinated. So there's kind of like no super easy solution here for black. Nothing I think is like totally terrible, but there are drawbacks everywhere basically. Oh wait, what happened? Our comment didn't get pinned? Wait 1 second. We gotta pin the comments. There we go. That's better. Wait, did I see Anna Kramling drama where some of Pia's commentary stream played in the playing hall? I did not see that. When did that happen? And then it's a worry when people start standing up. What do you mean by standing up? But no, how does that happen? Someone had it on the phone or? That's wild. Okay, e5 played. Yeah, I was thinking e5 is a very thematic move here. So black decides to do it now. That seems to make a lot of sense. Cam's coach always says if you don't connect your rooks, bad things happen. Yeah, that's good advice, I think. They had it on a touchscreen TV and an insect landed on the unmute button. Are you for real? Where was this? Was this in Spain? That's crazy. So they were playing outside the playing hall, right? They were showing it outside the playing hall. On mute. But why would you show it on mute? It's so disrespectful. It's Pia Kremling. You can't mute Pia Kremling. She has great commentary. I saw some of her. I don't know from which tournament. I mean, maybe like Reykjavik or something. But she's a very good commentator. You watched the stream live? Nice. Yeah, that must have been so funny. Hopefully it wasn't like directly useful about. Normally commentary is just someone just talking about random ideas, that are very, very obvious to both players. Like, oh, white is going to try to play on the dark squares. It's like, okay, that's not. Yes, thank you. Have I heard anything more about the sequel to the woodpecker method coming out? All I know is that it's going to be a positional woodpecker method, and that's very exciting. I think it's probably going to be a great book if it's done well. It's a great idea. I think people are always asking for like a positional kind of handbook thing with a bunch of typical ideas, typical things to look at. It's not going to solve all your problems, of course, but I think it'll be fun and a good distraction, you know, from the hard chess work. Players agreed to play on since the fiasco happened early in the game. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, you can't really. What do you mean agreed to play on? What are they going to forfeit Anna because a bug landed on the TV screen? That's not her fault. Oh, is the chess.com live? Oh, is the chess TV? I understand now. Thank you for giving me more information. I see. Okay, so yeah, they weren't playing the stream. They just had the live games up. It's always chess.com. It always comes back to chess.com. It always, you know, why do they have to play the stream above the live games? You know, it always comes back. Chess.com's fault. Yeah, Simple Chess is a great book. Definitely a good warm up before Woodpecker Method. I'm sure Woodpecker Method, the positional one, the new one, is gonna be like, well, I don't know what level it'll be for, but I'm sure it'll go up to maybe like 2,000 or higher. Well, Seth, they were probably, my guess, I wasn't there. Maybe someone can correct me. But they're probably just showing the boards, like the events page with just like the live positions, like no eval bars. And so the stream maybe wasn't even visible. But if you unmute it, then it would still play. So they made the mistake of not muting the player. You know, they muted their TV thing. They should have muted like the Twitch embed as well. Okay, ChessBond says correct. So yeah, I'm guessing they just showed they're just showing the live positions. Look, it's a new era, guys. It's a new era, okay? By the way, do you guys appreciate that, you know, I changed my board layout to match the board at the tournament. You know, we got the wooden board and green cloth. I just want you guys to appreciate it because it also happened by accident. Like I didn't mean I wasn't trying to match. I was just like, oh, this looks nice. It turned out to work. So that's really what I want appreciation for. I had that intuition, that gut feeling. Subconscious attention to detail. Thank you. That's all I wanted, folks. That's all I wanted. Okay, Alex is thinking now. All right, let's talk moves. Now that black has given up the d5 square, right, it's like it makes knight d1 c3 less attractive, right? Because you kind of want to put that knight on d5. One nice plan would be to bring this knight to e3 somehow, so we could plop knights on this square. That's very hard to do. Classically, it's very difficult for the knight to jump 2 squares diagonally. It takes 4 moves. If all the squares are open. So here it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, for example, right? But on knight f3, of course, black can consider trading or not. I don't know. Maybe knight f3 is an interesting move, but it does kind of block the f pawn. And wait, do we have a move? No, still thinking. Okay. So clock times, by the way, are still pretty level. 107 for Alex, 111 for the opponent. But she has been thinking a lot on this move. So he's kind of spent his time already. He's gotten used to the position. She is now starting, I think, finally to like warm up into the game. Like earlier, she's kind of like booting on, like getting used to things. And now I think we're fully into the game. So what to do? Hey, Dax Chess, how's it going? Oh, there's a question from Champagne Hugh. Should you be getting tactics books that teach tactical ideas or puzzle books that reinforce the tactical ideas / patterns? Well, I would say, both are going to be useful, but start with the books that teach the ideas. And then once you learn the ideas, then it's time to do a lot of solving, and that's when puzzle books would be more appropriate. Some books are written like that, like they show you the idea, and then they have like a bunch of puzzles on that idea, and then you kind of work that way. But in general, first you have to learn the themes. You have to learn like the patterns and the concepts in between moves, removing the defender, things like this. Maybe see some interesting variations, and then you solve lots of problems on the theme to kind of reinforce your learning. I think that's the best way to do it. Like a math class. If you guys remember, first your teacher would show you the principle of addition. You have one number, you have a second number, you add them together, you combine their values, you get a bigger number. So 2 + 2 is 4, 2 + 3 is 5, 2 + 1 is 3, and then you do a bunch of practice. Then you got to figure out 3 + 6, 2 + 7, 8 + 2, 8 + 5 + 3. It gets a little harder, but the more you do it, the more you get used to it. So chess, tactics, calculation, very, very straightforward based on practice. That's the magic word, folks. That starts with P. Practice. MG Weiro, you scared me for a second that I genuinely misspoke and messed up the math. Would it have been feasible for him to play d5? d5 is a move I would not look at very much here for black, because it kind of opens up the bishop on g2 and it gives up more dark squares, right? We already had connect 6 over here. Now we get 7. This one also, it's a lot. So I think e5 strategically makes more sense, but yeah, d5 would be kind of two problems there. Oops, a4, e5. What's the best way to study? Look, Spirits, that's a huge question. We, in fact, have an entire training program dedicated to this question. I will link you to that because you can find a lot of information on our site about our overall philosophy and what we believe in. But yeah, generally I don't suggest studying opening books. I think working on the more fundamental parts of chess is more valuable. Things like tactics, calculation, middle games, end games. If you are going to study the opening, it should be studying opening ideas, opening concepts, not trying to understand opening lines or variations or anything like that. Yeah, absolutely. Glad to help. Good to have you here. Hold on, folks. We have a move on the board. Knight g2 played. Yeah, this feels very logical. This is definitely one of White's main moves here to play. Not really looking to take on d4, I think, because this would, let's say, give black cd4 and more space. But just developing the knight and getting ready to castle. Maybe play f4. Because black still has this open question about their king, where are they going to castle? Now, there is a tactic in the position. Okay, he just played bishop e6. I think he played this one kind of quickly. So I think he is hoping that Alex castles here, which I don't think she's going to do. But if she castles, there could be a bishop takes h3 trick. Intending knight f3 check. Very common tactical pattern. And then the key line here would be what happens on knight takes d4. And black can maybe think about this one, but I think bishop takes g2 would be the cleanest here. Just taking the bishop, hitting the rook. White doesn't have any good in-between moves with the knights. Everything just kind of gets taken. And then after king takes, let's say cd4, black will have won a very, very important h-pawn, right? And would be doing really well. Yeah, let's in general we don't allow links. Let's definitely not share PDFs or like any kind of copyrighted material. This is like our space, you know. Like, so if you guys want to do like illegal stuff, maybe like elsewhere. No illegal stuff, please, in the chat. No illegal stuff. Yeah. Also, no inappropriate comments either, please. Wow. Yeah. If it's like a question of it's legal or not, maybe best to avoid it. Please treat this like you would treat your local chess dojo. Okay? You wouldn't show up to your local chess dojo and be disrespectful, right? Okay, maybe you would do it at a chess dojo. You certainly wouldn't do it at like a karate dojo, you know, like maybe you do it at a chess, but please, please respect the dojo. Thank you, folks. Thank you. So this is Black's trick. I don't think Alex is gonna castle and fall for it because it's quite hanging in the air. You know, knight f3. I think she's gonna be tactically alert to see this one. Oh, yeah, spirits. No. Sorry. You weren't the one being disrespectful. You're fine. You didn't know about the PDF thing. That's all good. There's someone else with a much more offensive comment. Anyway. Oh, Pia Cramling once won in 9 moves at the Olympiad. Bishop takes h3 trick. Wow. Very similar line. Oh, knight was on h3. Pawn was on f3. And then bishop takes knight. When white's pawn was still on h2, yeah. Oh, so f3 was just oof. Yeah, that's brutal. Queen d2, knight d4, f3, bishop takes. Right when black goes f3. Yeah. Dang. Best way to study openings is to wait until we're doing commentary and then ask questions. Good point. Oh, Felix, sorry. Yeah, is b3 a serious attempt to win classical games? Yes, it is. Any opening that you believe in, you can call it a serious attempt. I mean, that's really that's more of like a subjective distinction, right? Maybe your friend doesn't think it's serious, but whatever. Your friend's 800, right? So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they think. So. Yeah, if you're serious about it, then it's a serious approach. But there are lots of grandmasters, strong players that have played b3, and they're 100% trying to win the game. You know, it's very, it's very serious. Yeah, like if I sit down against David Navarra, he plays b3. I'm not gonna be like, oh, is this a joke? I'm like, okay, I need to hunker down. So yeah, no, it's a serious opening. The b3's no joke. Sir Dexter says, don't eat Felix's b3 obsessions. Oh, I didn't know this was a meme. I didn't know. That's very funny. Okay, so we can't castle. Knight d1 comes to mind again to go for the c3. c3, but now actually c3 is not feasible, right? We've weakened the b3 square, excuse me. So c3 is no longer an option here. Knight b5 could be maybe a move. But then I don't know if we really want to take and allow cd4. f4 maybe? f4 kind of feels logical to me because f4 castles would then be playable, right? Because we'd be covering the f3 square, so there's no trick. And then once we castle, I mean, f4, we're looking to play f5 somewhere. I mean, we have reasonable play in the position. Knight d5 could follow and so on. So f4 kind of feels like it makes sense, but it is a little funny to play this like before your rook is on f1. Okay, she took on d4. All right, I wasn't sure about this move, but let's see what she has in mind. I would assume we're going to get c takes d4 here pretty quickly. Just strategically, you want to be taking towards the center. The c file is way more useful for black than the e file. We don't want to give up f4 square. So yeah, c takes d4, very quickly played. Just for a number of reasons. And now we'll see what Alex wants to do. I don't like the looks of knight d5, because that would allow black to leave white with a bad light-scored bishop. But maybe knight e2 here. And then looking to play f4 and build up that way. Oh, he's been trying for weeks for Alex to play b3. Uh-oh. You mean in classical, Felix, or like just like online blitz? Because blitz, whatever, that's fine. b3 is a good opening for blitz. Hopefully we're not talking about having your play it in classical. You know, I mean, it's fine if you want to, like, study some weird opening, right? But don't be pushing it on other people. Alex should be playing e4, principal lines, getting experience, these typical middle games, you know, fighting chess. That's how you improve, right? Not by, like, playing, you know, for, like, tricky lines and trying to win out of the opening, right? Like in tennis, like, do you work on your tennis or do you work on, like, your tricky serves? It's like you work on your tennis. Now, if it works for you, that's totally fine. But yeah, leave Alex alone. Let her play. Let her play normal openings. How do the pairings work? So they use a Swiss system. Typically just pairs players against each other that have the same number of points. But I know they were also using accelerated pairings, which I don't understand. I just have no clue how those work. Some players play others. That's basically it. Because with accelerated pairings, like you don't even... Sometimes the players playing don't even have the same score. Like I saw some pairings in this event, it was like someone with 1 point is playing someone with 2 points. And so there's some weird system that, I just don't understand how it works. So yeah, accelerated pairing, again, I don't know how it works. I'm sure someone could explain it better. But basically what ends up happening is, like in round 1, Alex at 1850 FIDE played 1300 FIDE. But there were 2100s playing like grandmasters. So it's like, normally the Swiss system, you just take the bottom half and put it against the top half. So whoever is the 51st player, you know, out of 100 would play number 1, for example. When there's a lot of players, sometimes they use accelerated pairings. So if you have like 200 players, instead of 101 playing number 1, you have like 51 again out of 200. But then I don't know how they do it. So it's very strange. I don't know how it works. I don't know. I played one tournament, Capella Grand Open, that used a similar format. I remember being told there that like the first 4 games are very important. You have to score well in the first 4 games, because then they stop using accelerated pairings and you might get just like totally wrecked in terms of like norm chances and playing like low rated players. And I think that was true for me. I think I scored like 3.5 out of 4 in the first 4 rounds. I drew a GM in round 1, you know, and then I won like against some lower rated players. And then I got good pairings for the rest of the tournament. Oh, Zanibak with the truth. So with the accelerated, the top half is given 1 point for the first 2 rounds for pairing purposes. Oh, okay. That explains a lot of the weird pairings. So the top half gets an extra point. That's why the top half plays against each other. Then when someone from the bottom half wins a game, they have 1 out of 1. If someone from the top half loses, they have 0 out of 1, and that's why they play. So Alex has 2, and her opponent has 1.5. Right, and then at some point they even out the scores. Okay. Well, if Alex's opponent is 1.5, then that doesn't make a lot of sense. Because either he has 2.5 and they shouldn't play, or he has 1.5 and they also shouldn't Okay, so I still don't understand how it works, but that explanation does clarify quite a few things. So the top half gets an... Oh, we're after round 2. We're after round 2. So he no longer has the fake point. Okay. Okay. That's a lot more understandable. Oh, knight e2 played. Okay, yeah, knight e2, that looked like the most logical move to me. Now it's black to play here. Honestly, I think it's a reasonable position for Alex. I am a little bit concerned about the c-file. Black has this easy plan of rook c8, queen c7, and just putting pressure here. White will go rook c1. And at a certain point, I think black will have to castle and try to get that other rook into play. And maybe this is what will give white chances to go castles, f4, and play for this attack. This, of course, would be very, very dangerous if we just make some random moves. Let's say castles, castles, rook c8, f4, queen c7. I'm already looking at f5 here. Like, I'm already thinking about not defending this pawn if I'm white. But let's just say we do defend the pawn because black doesn't have a lot of moves. They can make, I don't know, they go rook d8 or something, and then I would 100% be looking at this kind of breakthrough here. Because this would be very scary. Takes, queen g5 check, queen h6 also. Let's just say queen g5 check followed by ef5. Okay, this is like terrible for black, right? Absolutely horrible. So this can still go really wrong if black castles. I mean, they would have to find some way to defend. Maybe f6, then f5 anyway, I would think. Not giving black a chance to play any g5, and then takes. Just as a sample line, we could maybe look at this position. Let's just say queen h6, looking to win the pawn back. It feels very dangerous for black. It feels very dangerous. Takes, rook takes f6, for example, followed by bringing the second rook in, bishop e4. This could be mate. Could be mate. Why not bishop f7 instead of... No, maybe bishop f7. Just gf5 is like, let's say, we want to make sure we're not losing a pawn first. But bishop f7, then I think white has a lot of options. Queen h6 maybe. Queen h6 is funny. You have to be 100% sure you're not getting trapped with g5. But here we do have this one, right? So queen h6 may be annoying. g4 also possible. Something like this. And then boom. That's how you would attack. Oh my god, if we got this on the board, I'd be very excited for Alex. Takes g5. Whew. Whew. This would be really, really great to see. Yeah, sometimes the lowest rated player with 2 points will play the highest rated player with 1.5 points. I don't know if that might be why we got this pairing. That's very possible. But okay, this is what we have right now. So this is why black is thinking, because, in a lot of cases you just want to castle, but here I think he recognizes like castles, castles, f4, f5. You don't just want to walk into that situation without some kind of plan or an understanding that you're going to be okay. Clock update, 1 hour, 3 minutes for black and 58 minutes for Alex. Thanks for following, Bolivia player. Oh, the pinned comment ran out. This is so strange because I told it to stay the whole time. And it didn't. I don't know what's happening. All right, let's pin it again. Oh, but it's gone now. It's gone. Okay. I'm just going to link Just gonna link the game. Okay, folks, let's give Alex a shout out. Go follow her channel if you haven't already. Sorry, folks, I'm talking to Dojo's chat right now. And I'm gonna link the game as well, and we'll pin this message. Pinned. It's pinned until manually unpinned or end of stream. So I don't know what's going on with that. Okay, Black's still thinking here. Oh, he just said hi to someone who looked over at him. I missed it. There's Pepe Cuenca, by the way. Pepe Cuenca in the black shirts. Yesterday we recognized Shirov. I was very, very happy with myself. Whoa, 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 whoa. You guys see Anamaya's opponent? Do you guys just see that? Dude just was making arrows at the board. He literally was like pointing with his finger. He was making arrows. Bro, you can't do that. Oh, man. All right, queen d7 played. So queen d7 flexible. Oh, that's an interesting move, right? Because that kind of stops white from castling. And now this is not a simple position here to figure out. We can't castle. Maybe f4, but then what to do after f4? Because pawn is still going to be hanging. And you don't really want to go h4, right? Like losing a tempo, giving up g4 square. Yeah, queen d7 I think is a very logical move. Makes it kind of awkward for white, doesn't it? Yeah, Stan, I understand that's what it's been doing, but normally, like, when you pin a message, it gives you the option to pin it until the end of the stream. And I've been selecting it. I always select that option. And, yeah, for whatever reason, it's unpinning. Oh, but it changed. Hold on. It changed. Oh, it didn't save. It didn't save. Okay. Now it should work. Wow, it didn't save. The Sons of Guns, huh? Twitch. Man, sometimes it's like these people, they don't even use their own product. Thank you, Stan, for that. Thank you. All right, it's saved. Hey, Nor Viking, how's it going? So queen d7 here. Alex needs to figure out how to deal with this one. I'm actually having a hard time coming up with the move. Because again, we can play f4, but then what to do after? Black will play rook c8, let's say. And now we're not castled. How to do it. How to do it. Why can't you point at the board? It's a little bit distracting, you know. Generally, you're not. I don't think Anna Maya was at the board, but you know, if she was, I think it would be inappropriate because, you know, you're like blocking your opponent's vision. It's a little distracting. I don't think it's like illegal or anything. You're not going to be penalized for it, unless you're doing it like extensively. But it's definitely a little against the etiquette. Can you tell the opponent to stop? Yeah, I think you can ask. This kind of stuff happens very rarely, folks. I think whenever there's any kind of OTB, people always have questions like, what if the opponent's like chewing gum and it's like a little bit too loud, or what if they're like, it's like, yeah, in general, like, it's yeah, you can definitely ask the opponent. You can ask the opponent politely to stop, and then if they don't understand you, or if they're not if they're argumentative, then yeah, then you would get the arbiter. But generally, if it's a small thing, you can ask the opponent. If it's something big, like you think your opponent has like a phone, they're like using, like they're looking at their phone, then definitely get the arbiter. But if it's something minor, I think most people are. Like if your opponent's like chewing loudly, that's definitely a thing that's happened. You can just be like, oh, would you mind eating away from the board, something like that. And generally, they get the message. And then very, very, almost never you're going to see someone like continuing to do the thing that you just asked them not to do, like, or do it like more aggressively, Then okay, then you do get the arbiter. Oh, only recently Twitch got a hands-on CEO. Oh, okay, I didn't know that. That's cool. Oh, Dave had an opponent who picked up 2 pawns and was juggling. Yeah, I've been doing that a little bit here. I'm fidgety as well. Oh, C3 played. Okay, so yeah, there's the question, like what to do in this position. Alex decided to go C3. This makes sense. We're challenging the pawn on D4. And then if black takes, I don't actually know what the plan is. Maybe pawn takes, just taking back, trying to get D4 in. But knight takes, I don't know, also seems kind of sensible. Probably pawn takes. But C3 played. I still don't know what we're going to do about castles. I'm not loving our position, actually, after this this trade in queen D7. I feel like this is kind of annoying. But I don't know exactly where Alex might have misplayed things. But C3 now. For instance, if here black like takes and castles, it's like, okay, we can play F4, but again, what are we gonna do about this guy? At some point, I think she just has to play H4 and lose the tempo, but it's really not what we want to do. I guess here you'd go G4 actually. So okay, you know what? There's still some intrigue, because if black castles, you go G4, takes, and then this would be quite serious. This would be quite serious. So he does take, and Alex recaptures quickly. Her time usage, by the way, much better in this game than in previous games. Maybe she has white. She's a lot more familiar with the opening. It's probably the reason why. But yeah, she's at 55 minutes. Black, I think, is at 59 and a half or so. So very close to the opponent. Black is now thinking about this position. Have I ever played against a blind chess player? I don't think so. I did play once against a guy who was not willing to press the clock because it was, I think it was Saturday, so it was the Sabbath. Not Reshevsky. Reshevsky famously used to do this as well, I believe. Not Reshevsky. I played 2 players, actually, that did this. They could not use the clock because we were playing on a Saturday. One of them was Leonid Udasin, a grandmaster from New York. I played him, I think, last year in California. And then another guy I played in Spain. I scored 1.5 out of 2 in those games, so I scored pretty well. But yeah, they had a helper just like hitting the clock for them after, like they would make their move and then their helper would press the clock. And sometimes their helper would press the clock a little bit too quickly after they make their move, almost as if like they're moving with 2 hands, like it was that kind of speed. And then I would just like glance at them, give them a look like, hey, watch it. Yeah. But yeah, it was good times. Yeah, ridiculous. No, but in general, they were pretty good. They were pretty good about it. And with the 30-second increment, I don't think it makes a huge deal anyway. I think it's more distracting for them. They like make their move. They look at the they look at their helper. Helper hits the clock. Okay, 57 minutes 45 seconds here for Adrian Jimenez. So far, I mean, I feel like he's played very reasonable game, I have to say. I can't really fault any of Black's moves at all. But the question is how to continue, because we were just looking if castles, then g4, White gets this option, which I think is pretty annoying. Maybe it's not so serious, but you have to deal with it. You definitely have to deal with it. And then if he doesn't castle, well, I guess we're just going to have a game of chicken, like neither side castling. I don't know who's going to blink first. I guess we'll see who has more moves. Oh, I see what Alex wants to do. Okay, she wants to just play d4 and d5 and just force this bishop off of e6. It's actually very simple. Very simple plan here for White. d4, d5, and then Black will have to figure that out, right? Just can't leave this construction forever. So he's actually very much in a critical position here. Now he has moves too. I mean, d5 I think is reasonable, but okay, it leads to a lot of central tension, right? Not the easiest move to play. Though it does feel like the first instinct kind of move. It does feel very logical because Black has a lot of pieces on this square, maybe can build up on the d file, put some pressure. Oh, d5 played. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Once you see d5, it's hard not to make this move. And yeah, perhaps if Alex had an extra tempo here to play d4, that would have been nice. Yeah, go ahead and cheat against me, guys. That's right. That's right. No, you best be careful. You best be careful. Anyone who thinks they're going to try to pull a fast one on me has another one coming. Hey, Thors, thanks for the sub. 18 months. Yeah, don't let the sub expire. Folks, if you're watching on Dojo, you haven't followed, please follow and sub. If you're watching on AlexandraChess's channel, please follow and sub this channel as well. Oh, I see Alex recently broke 13,000 followers. Nice, nice. Road to 14,000 begins. Okay, d5. Definitely a big move. I think Alex is probably going to tank on this one. Because what to do? What to do? Is if takes, you leave yourself with some weak pawns behind. That doesn't seem ideal. But if we allow Black to take, we're still having structural issues. Maybe d4. Maybe you just got to bite the bullet. But d4 is very sharp. This is super complicated. Takes, for example. If bishop takes, then h3 hangs. We take here. Maybe it works out for White. Maybe, our pawns will be weak one day. So, I'm not totally sure about this, but d4 might be worth considering. What else? What else to do? Queen g5? Could this be an option? Just targeting this one. Okay, he's getting up away from the board. Yeah, I think that's a good time to do it. He's been at the board for a while, so good time to stretch. It's been, well over an hour. Alex is going to think about this one. 52 minutes for Alex. 56 minutes, 50 seconds for Black, her opponent. Yeah, this is not easy. What to do? What to do? Maybe f4. Trying to bring the knight to f4. But then I'd still be worried about takes. If bishop takes, again, black can take on h3. Maybe we take on e5. Maybe white has to go for something like this. Actually, this could be double-edged. If we get d4, we get a nice center. I mean, it's not clear where our king is going. That's the dangerous part. Now, you know, black castles and our king is kind of stuck in the center, right? So this would be very double-edged, but risky. But what to do? I mean, we have to play something. If we just take on d5, I'm worried that we just end up with a slightly worse position, with black having a little bit more space, pressure, h3 still under attack. So this is what I would be hoping to avoid here as white. Maybe Alex should have done like the king f1, king g1, crab walk over to h2. Maybe that would be that would be one way to. But now you can't do it anymore after king f1. Black is taking. Maybe instead of c3, that was the way to go. All right, I'm gonna say d4 takes. This seems playable to me for white. I don't feel like white is so obviously worse here. I think you could maybe do this. But it's not an easy position, honestly, very, very much not simple. But this here seems possible because we have equal pawns. e4 is weak. We have some weak pawns, but at least e4 is weak. We have knight f4, knight d4. Maybe this would be my choice. But yeah, I'm not happy here if I'm white. I got to be honest. I'm definitely not happy in this position. Yeah, it would be very nice to castle, but unfortunately the pawn is hanging here, so that's why it's hard to make this move for white. Folks, I'm going to take a quick break, then I'll be back. And then in about half an hour, actually less, we're going to be doing a handoff. I'll be actually going on Dojo stream. We're doing Dojo talks at the top of the hour. 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific. And String Dog, fellow streamer, is going to be taking over on Alexandra's channel and continuing to watch her game. So unfortunately, I won't be able to see the rest of the game. But yeah, that's what's going to be happening. And today we are going to be discussing the ongoing Women's World Championship and maybe the state of women's chess in general. So should be pretty spicy show. Should be pretty fun. But yeah, I think there are quite a few things to discuss. But yeah, folks, let me take a quick break. I'll keep the live feed on so you guys can follow, but I will be back. Alrighty. Hey folks, I'm back. Okay, what'd I miss? Oh boy, we have moves, huh? We have moves. What happened, guys? What happened? It's queen on g5. Okay, so queen g5, d takes e4 play. So 2 moves. All right, not that hard to figure out. So queen g5 takes on e4. So Alex spent a lot of time on this one, so clearly she calculated something here. Queen takes e5 hits both rooks, so I feel like queen takes e5 is going to be her move. Then I guess black castles. And, like we're going to be able to win a pawn, but it's going to be a lot of compensation for black. Like d takes e4, rook d8, for example. So yeah, queen takes e5, castle's on the board. So he's sacrificing a pawn here, but it's going to be a very risky position for white. Bishop takes e4 is possible as well. But then black can go bishop takes h3. And our king is still stuck in the center, so I'm not liking this for this reason. There's other options also, like, you know, like f5 even. Maybe not here, but yeah. f5 just leaves the bishop hanging. So I don't know if f5 works. Like, bishop drops back and might not be so good. There are other moves like knight f4 as well. Could be strong. So I don't actually really like f5, but I think just taking is easy enough. How about d4? You guys mean here instead of taking the pawn? Maybe. Definitely deserves consideration. And we're trying to win the pawn safely. Because queen takes e4, the problem is bishop f5, right? And then we're losing this guy, our king is in the center. So d4, I think, is reasonable. Because if black plays f5 to support this one, that's kind of weakening, and white's king does have some cover here. So we get knight f4, we get g4. Like, there's play. I mean, castles probably. I think castles. let's be cautious. Let's castle, and then g4. You know, g4 start. Actually, I don't know. Maybe rook is useful on the h file. Hold on. What am I talking about? What am I even saying here? Maybe rook could be useful on the h file, guys. So yeah. No, definitely this is very reasonable. In fact, this might be the way to go. Oh, looks like she's reaching for some move. Yeah, because this allows white to get a more stable structure in the center. Exactly. And then if the knight can get in, you know, her queen is very active on e5. It's not easy to harass this queen. Like, there's always knight c6, but queen takes e4. It's just a pawn. Queen f6 maybe. But okay, this is very reasonable. I feel like after d4, like not taking the pawn right away, black would then have to either find a way to defend the pawn, which looks very hard, or give the pawn, but then that's going to be a very real pawn sacrifice. Okay, another option from Gokofan is bishop takes e4, bishop takes h3, knight f4. Yeah, actually, I didn't realize this one. This hits the bishop and would give white some tactical chances, right? If bishop g4, there's f3, for example, and then white has knight takes h5 ideas. If bishop goes to e6, there's knight takes e6. You know, this maybe actually was the simplest. Just take on e4 with the bishop. Bishop h3, knight f4. And then, yeah, I mean, bishop f5, probably. Bishop f5. Oh, but yeah, it'd be very messy here. We don't want to take knight f5, but knight takes h5, you know. This could be a thing. Gh, rook h5. This could be very, very tricky. f6. Doesn't seem to work. Every time I look at online, I'm like, oh, this could be interesting. Then I look a little further, I'm like, it doesn't seem to work. But it's possible. That was definitely an option. So d takes e4 played. And, uh-oh. We lost camera. Oh, that's not great. That's not great. We still have the DGT board, but it's gonna be a little bit behind. I don't know why we lost camera. That's never happened before. Last move we saw was DE. And black. Oh, it's back. It's back. Let's go. I have no idea what happened. I don't know who fixed it, but I do believe in a higher power now. I do believe. And black is thinking. 40 minutes for Alex, while we still have the video. 40 minutes for Alex, 51 minutes for the opponent. So d4, I don't love. I don't love because I feel like black is going to get some very reasonable play here. Bishop c4. Just keeping the king in the center, for example. And some queen infiltrations, rook d8, rook e8. Yeah, bishop c4, rook e8, for example, and then rook d8. And all of black's pieces are playing. And it doesn't look like much now, but the longer white's king stays in the center, the more dangerous it's going to get. So I think at a certain point, maybe Alex needs to just castle if she can, just give the pawn, get knight f4. But yeah, if black plays bishop c4, then it's already too late. You can't really castle anymore. And then you got to look at stuff like g4 and okay, it's going to be a very messy position, folks. Really, really messy. I honestly have no idea what the evaluation is. I'm sure computer says something like blah 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 blah. But yeah, over the board, this is going to be a big fight. Big fight. Oh, nice shirt. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, people are asking about this shirt. This is actually the official coaching shirt that I got working for the U.S. Chess Federation. You know, I coached a couple World Youths back in the day. World Youths. A Pan American, under 10, under 12 championship, under 8, and then a couple World Youths under World Cadet, actually. World Cadet, they call it now. Under 8, under 10, under 12. So, yeah, we got these like special jerseys for the U.S. team. I also have like, I don't know what it's called. It's like a jumper. It's like a thin hoodie. It's very sporting. I think it's like waterproof. It's like a very thin waterproof hoodie. It's got my name on it, so it's pretty cool. I like to wear it when I run, which is never. Windbreaker. Yeah, windbreaker with a hoodie. Windbreaker. Very good. Very good. Thank you. Someone's been doing their fashion woodpecker method. Where can you get a blue USCF sweater hoodie? You know, I don't know if they sell these because they just like opened up the shop when we were going for the tournament and then they asked us what we wanted. I feel like these are like custom made every time they have like a world event. But if there is a place to find it, it would be on the USCF sales site. So, yeah, that would be the only place I could think of. If it's not there, it's not there. Or you could just join a bowling team. Hey, that's great. Speaking of, we have to get some Dojo jerseys soon. Yeah, we're working on the Dojo jerseys. I promise. Promise, folks. So de4 on the board. Black is thinking about it here. 40 minutes for Alex, 47 for the opponent. That is Anna Maya next to us on that board. I think she's on 1 out of 3, so she's a point behind. So hopefully she can pick up a win. Get back to even. Okay, knight c6 played. That makes a lot of sense, hitting the queen with a tempo. Now, guess I would expect one of these moves. Oh, there's Lily. Now what to do? Queen is under attack, under 40 minutes for Alex, so there's no second time control, right? Which means at some point she's going to fall into time trouble. The game's going to get very tricky. Queen f6 is active and allows for the knight to come to f4. On the other hand, queen f4 kind of defends more squares. I feel like here we're a pawn up as white, or facing some heavy compensation. I think I would prefer a safety first approach. Queen f4 probably, queen e3. Try to short things up. Maybe queen f4, g4, so we could finally castle. Really, that's the main thing that's a problem here for white. If we could just castle, we would have a much healthier position. But that takes time. Queen f4, black will play like bishop c4 maybe. And it's going to be a tough defense for Alex. Bishop f3. Definitely a playable position here. I don't think it's like losing or anything, but it's close. It could be like one mistake away from Alex getting a very, very difficult position. Oh, queen f6 from Dojo. From David, I presume. But queen f6, I guess I'm worried about bishop c4. And if I was white, I'd just be trying to castle here. Maybe knight d4 there. Oh, yikes, didn't see that. Oh, that's not good. That's not good. I thought you had something good in mind. Yeah, maybe knight d4. But it looks... Yeah, it looks very risky. Oh, I understand. Yeah, it's 5 a.m. in Hawaii. No worries. Okay, queen f6 played. All right, Alex definitely looking more than 0 moves ahead. So hopefully she has something in mind against this one. Oh, was queen b5 bad? I don't know if this was necessarily bad. It does run into more tempos with like a6, and then the queen is going to have to go somewhere else. So probably not ideal. And then eventually, yeah, what I'd be worried about is that black, I don't know where we're going with this one, but black starts getting knight e5, and it's going to be a lot of squares. A lot of squares. Rook bd8. Oh, absolutely. No, definitely. This is a very scary position for white. I mean, I think if this happened on the board, I think as white, I'm just castling. I'm just giving the pawn back. I'm like, okay, you got me. You keep the pawn. I'm good. Take me. Let's get the tempo like this. I would just play this position, hope to make a draw like this, for example. This would be ideal if we could get this. I'd be very happy to make a draw like this. Okay, but queen f6, yeah, bishop c4 play. This was my concern because now we can't even give the pawn back to castle. Now we're kind of stuck in the center. I don't know, bishop f3 maybe, but it's a very, very sharp position. Folks, I gotta bounce. I'm going to go on Dojo stream. So we got a show planned, our podcast, Dojo Talks. Alex is obviously going to keep playing in very sharp position. But another streamer, String Dog, is going to come on to Alex's channel in just a sec here. So I'll log off. He'll come on. And then